Anyone here wake up at night, like you go to sleep and then you wake up a few hours later, or you wake up at like 2 in the morning and you're like, what is going on? That's awesome. We're going to have a bench press competition in about 10 minutes here. And so now this is the question that I needed. Thank you. How can we control our cravings? Just don't be human and you don't have any cravings in life.
Everyone, Reagan is one of the leading peptide functional medicine and longevity specialists in the nation. His award-winning center, East West Health, agelessfuture.com, has performed 10,000 plus labs and counting. These comprehensive blood labs include 100 important markers that allow Reagan and his team to understand the root cause of health issues. Reagan is an international speaker and is the author of 9 books, including the Peptide Blueprint and The Ageless Future. His podcast, Ageless Future, has features thought leaders from many industries. When not traveling, Reagan can often be found deep in the Utah Mountains with his wife Jessica or his kids Zoe, Dominique, and Jordan. All right, we've got some fun things to cover. And so this morning, what we're going to do is just do a little exercise called Qigong. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it gets the blood moving in your body. So I'm Reagan Archibald. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. And today the goal is to give you some health tips that you can take into your future, and also answer any questions that you have when it comes to your fitness, your nutrition, and then I'll even cover any any of the new innovations we're finding in medicine. So first of all, how many of you have an exercise routine, just by show of hands? Okay, beautiful. And what's the biggest difference you notice when you move your body and when you exercise? Do you have better energy, better mental clarity? Do you notice that there's, you just want to keep moving? All right, so this morning I'll get us a little energy moving, and this is a brand new exercise. Yeah, it hurts in the moment, but you feel better afterwards. Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. So what I'm going to have you guys do is stand up. And very first thing is you're just going to shake out your body, just kind of move it around. And then you're going to do an exercise where we're going to get rid of the tech neck, because I don't know if you see how people walk today, but their faces in their phones or some device, or you're hunched over your computer, because I know a lot of you guys are much more tech savvy than me. And so the very first thing we're going to do is called draw the bow. So it's as if you're pulling a bow, and you pull it backwards and release. And then you go to the other side and pull it and release. So inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and inhale. Just really open up the spine and exhale. We'll do it one more time on the other side. All right, now see how your back feels, because the biggest thing is doing movements that feel good to you. I was trained, I've been practicing for about 21 years. And one of my teachers, I was trained in this technique called So Tai Ho. So it's almost like a movement therapy for structural realignment or spinal realignment. And one of the things that Dr. Maya Kala found in her research was that movements that felt good, like where it feels like you're scratching an itch, those are really good movements for you. Okay, so we'll do one more. And this movement, if you can see my hands, what you're going to do is you're going to come up, inhale, and then bring your palms down, exhale. So inhale, and come on your tippy toes, exhale. Inhale, and exhale. And inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale and exhale. All right. Want to make sure you guys are awake. Everyone awake? Everyone feeling good? I know some of you, you guys are all over the world. So how cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and benchmark exactly where you're at in your health journey right now.
and I'm going to share with you three things on nutrition. But does anyone have any kind of fitness goals right now? Any events you're training for, or is anyone trying to lose weight? Maybe they're changing body composition. Okay, so I think the thing that I'll cover for you guys is we can talk about some of the foundational things that you can do to really optimize your ability to burn fat and to keep it off. Because that's the thing is, it's one thing to lose weight, but then when it keeps creeping back up, it gets really frustrating. And so we're going to talk about the three macronutrients in your diet and the things that we eat. And so macro is, these are larger particles, and there's the micronutrients. But from the macronutrients, these are your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins. Does everybody kind of understand what are carbohydrates? I just want to put it in the chat bot. Tell me where some of the what are some of the carbohydrates you eat? This could be like rice, sweet potatoes, yams, but what are some of your favorite carbohydrates? Yes, fast energy sources. That's one reason why we lean into carbohydrates often. Yeah, good. Papaya, rice. Yeah, these are all good, and carbohydrates. These can get broken down into simple sugars, and there's a simple solution that you can have. Like it looks like a lot of you eat rice and you eat potatoes, beans. That's pretty common for all humans. And there's a little trick that you can do, because the problem is when we eat carbohydrates, our blood sugar goes up. And when our blood sugar goes up, when these carbohydrates get broken down really quickly, if you're not moving your body, guess what happens to that sugar? That sugar gets converted into fat. And I remember one of the my very first nutritional. I took several nutrition courses in my undergraduate work, and then when I was at in Hawaii at the Integrated Medical School I trained at. I learned the magic of resistant starches. And resistant starches is when you cook rice up front. So maybe you cook 3 days worth, and then you put it in the fridge before you eat it. And just by cooling down the rice, it changes the nature of that carbohydrate complex. And so the rice, the starch literally takes on a corkscrew shape, and it becomes much more healthy for you, because now it's food for your bacteria in your gut. So we always eat twice. Once for ourselves, your body has its own caloric demands. And then the second time we eat is for the bacteria in our gut. And just by cooling down rice, you do the same thing with potatoes, cook a bunch of them and, put it in your fridge. I wouldn't do more than about 3 days of food prep at a time. And then, but once you put it in the fridge, then it changes the nature of the starch. And just by changing the nature of the starch, it gives you this ability to feed the bacteria in your gut. So it's similar. I'm assuming you guys have heard of probiotics, where you can take these nice little probiotic capsules, and what we found is not all of them work that great, because they don't ever make it past the gastric secretions in your stomach. So a lot of those probiotics that we take as a supplement, they actually don't end up doing us much good. But if you can think of prebiotics, pre meaning what are the food that your bacteria needs, and this is a really easy way for your carbohydrates. You can just put them in the fridge and take them out the next day. You can reheat them, warm them back up, and then eat them. So carbohydrates, my favorite carbohydrates are fruits. And I eat primarily a fruit and meat diet these days. I've experimented with a lot of weird diets. I grew up on a cattle ranch in Idaho, so there's one stage of my life where I had a pretty severe autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. and I just couldn't shake it. I mean, I had brain fog. I was achy all the time. I was like, my hair was falling out. And it was the time where I learned I had to find answers. But so I went on a self journey because the doctors that I went to didn't give me any answers. And I started a vegan diet, and it was actually the worst health I've ever been in. It actually made things even worse. And so, my family was like, "You don't eat meat? What's wrong?" Because I grew up we had about 1,000 head of cattle. And so you got to be careful on some of your diet explorations, but I've tried them all. I've done carnivore, keto, the whole thing. And so if you have questions on those, I can answer those. But really, if you think of the carbohydrate that I love the most are fruits. How many of you like fruits? Fruits are, the nice thing about them is they're very satiating. And they do have fructose in them. And I used to be a big advocate of 25 grams of fructose and no more. But I realized that if you're active, your body actually does really well on fruit, especially at certain times of the season where you alternate the fruits. So one of the fruits that I love, I learned from Jim Kwik. He's this really powerful, phenomenal guy who does all these. He can read numbers backwards, like 50 plus numbers. He's got this brilliant memory. And but one of the foods that he says is the best for your brain is blueberries. And so berries are really good because they're low calorie, especially raspberries. So as you're thinking of your carbohydrate source, how many of you notice you're a little more satiated if you eat fruit? Like you just feel more satisfied with whatever you're doing. And fruit's really good to eat as a snack. And especially fruit, the thing you want to look at is use it when you're active, because you'll burn that fructose pretty darn quick. And there's some great fibers in fruit, not to mention, we've been talking macronutrients like your carbohydrates, but fruit's got great carbohydrates. But the thing it also has is fiber. And so in a lot of the research, what we realize is that people are underutilizing fiber. The fiber intake's very low, and that can impact your digestive system, your colon, and it can actually cause an elevation in cholesterol. So if you've ran your blood labs and you're like, I've got high cholesterol, there's a good chance you may have some type of fiber imbalances. And so fruit, you guys plug in, what kind of fruit do you like the most? Because there's some interesting fruits out there. And one of the fruits that you want to be careful with is grapefruit if you're taking certain medications. Yeah, dragon fruit. I just had dragon fruit yesterday morning. It's so good. Mango is probably my favorite. Pineapple, banana, guava, watermelon, orange, jackfruit, oranges and mango. Lychee. Lychee is so good. And if you look at the wood on the lychee trees, it's like that's this red color. I had a house and we made cabinets out of a lychee tree in Hawaii. I live in Utah now. Sun melon. I don't know that I've had a sun melon. Musk melon. Is that like an Elon Musk melon? Did they make a melon? They named it after Elon Musk. Is that what you guys are saying? Zapata. I don't even know what that is. Plums, though. I do know what plums are. I apologize on my ignorance here. I would look it up, but I don't want to get distracted. Yeah, berries, they can be very expensive. So here's the thing. Cantaloupe. I love cantaloupe too. Honeydew is a good one. Soursop. Awesome. All right. So these fruits are really good. And if you think about when you're looking to, like you're leaning in to have a snack, and there's always things in packages. And so it's, our brains have been marketed to. And so we look for the package and we're like, oh, cool, quick energy. Someone mentioned quick energy from carbohydrates. But what do you notice happens if you eat something sweet, one of those quick energy snacks out of a bag or out of a package? You notice your energy goes up, and then what happens about an hour later? It crashes. Yes. And so blood sugar stability is really important. And the reason I bring up carbohydrates is because carbohydrates can be a great way for you to, keep your body satiated. But I'm going to show you another pathway, and that's by having proteins in there so you can stabilize your blood sugar. But there's one carbohydrate that we should probably talk about. Yeah, you feel sleepy. Yeah, sugar, like especially if you're eating a candy bar or you just go for the, sugared chocolate. If you eat chocolate, just make sure it's like 90% cacao. And it's so good for you. And if you do crave chocolate, there's two nutrient deficiencies you might have. One of those is magnesium, the other one's iron. And so if you crave chocolate all the time and you do get a little grumpy and your body gets crampy, you may have some magnesium deficiencies. Yeah, the sleep, the brain fog is the worst when you eat the sugar. And so this is where fruits can be a little more stabilizing because of the fibers in the fruits. Now, what about drinking fruit juice? Don't recommend it. Because you've removed the fiber. And then once you've removed the fiber, guess what happens to your blood sugar? The fiber helps stabilize it so it doesn't pop up. Yep, you're right, Luis. It just goes through the roof. What about soda? What about sugar from soda? Ideally, if you drink about 6 to 12 sodas a day, it's really good for your health. Okay, that's a joke. Yeah, soda, the problem is high fructose corn syrup is what a lot of these sodas have. And then there's artificial flavors and artificial sweeteners. And yes, they are such a nice little beverage, sparkly, whatever. But unfortunately, soda is really hard on the blood sugar. And it will spike your blood sugar so quickly, and then it drops again. And especially if you're using some of the artificial ingredients like aspartame in these, it's really damaging to the bacteria in your gut. The very thing that we talked about, you want to feed throughout the day. And so, Scout, you asked about sparkling water. Sparkling water is great. And what you want to do with sparkling water to amplify its effectiveness is put a little bit of lemon in there. Put lemon and lime in your sparkling water. And then that becomes an astringent for your liver. It's really good for the gut. And if you drink sparkling water, one thing is, this is my power drink. So I'm going to tell you guys a little secret, all right? But you got to really, I just need a thumbs up that you guys actually want this secret for the best way to hydrate yourself. Best drink for weight loss. This is the best thing you can do for mental clarity. All you do is you take sparkling water, and you put a little bit of unsweetened cranberry juice in there. That's for your kidneys, and your kidneys filter all the waste in your body. And then the second thing you put in there is, and do you guys know what apple cider vinegar is? If you look up Bragg's apple cider vinegar, it's a big brand. I think like Katy Perry bought it or something. So shout out to Katy Perry, I guess. But good artist. But the second thing you put in is lemon juice. Or the third thing is lemon juice. So you have unsweetened cranberry juice, about an ounce of unsweetened cranberry juice, and like roughly 12 ounces of sparkling water. And then you put lemon juice. So just squeeze a lemon and squeeze a lemon in that water. And then you've got your apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So try that drink. Let me know if you guys like it. It's phenomenal, because what it does is apple cider vinegar is an astringent for your liver, and it also increases the acidity of your stomach. And you may say, why would I want to increase the acidity of my stomach? That's ridiculous. But actually, if you raise up the acidity in your stomach, it's like turning up the oven. So you guys know, if you try to cook food at a lower temperature, sometimes it just doesn't cook the food. And that's when we get acid reflux, and that's where we have digestive issues. But if you can actually increase the acidity in your stomach, and you add these enzymes, the acidity is what triggers the enzymatic production from your pancreas. You'll digest things better. It's good for your kidneys, good for your liver. And it's a great way of satiating yourself instead of looking for a soda, or, if you're somebody who, if you drink a lot of coffee, or if you're just you like the sugary things, apple cider vinegar, cranberry juice, unsweetened cranberry juice, the lemon juice, and sparkling water. It's a really rewarding drink. And actually, I keep a picture of it in my fridge. That's awesome. Yeah, alkaline water and fruit infused water. Yeah, if you when you do fruit infused water, it can be phenomenal. Okay, so we've talked carbohydrates. There's one other carbohydrate that I think is going to be helpful, and that's honey. How many of you guys like honey? And what's interesting is, does anyone here wake up at night, like you go to sleep and then you wake up a few hours later, or you wake up at like 2 in the morning and you're like, what is going on? And it's like, has anyone ever done that? Am I the only one who's ever woken up at night and not had a perfect sleep? I had an awesome sleep last night. It was great. There's two reasons why we wake up. And one of those is from stress. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, but when you have a lot on your mind, your mind can become very restless. But the second one is blood sugar regulation. And so if your blood sugar drops as you're asleep at night, usually it's between 1 and 3 a.m. If you wake up between 1 and 3 a.m., there's a good chance you have a blood sugar issue. And so you'll notice you just wake up and your mind feels kind of restless. Well, that's because your blood sugar tanked. And so if you think about honey, you can actually use a little teaspoon of honey before you go to sleep at night. And what that does is it tells your brain that you've got the energy you need to make it throughout the night. Try the experiment. I've been pretty amazed at my clients as how well this works. You know, when you get allergies, if you happen to get kind of seasonal allergies, just some raw honey is phenomenal. It's so good. So stress. Why does stress wake us up? Well, what happens with stress is we have this hormone called cortisol. And when cortisol gets released from our body, it triggers this process called gluconeogenesis. And so gluconeogenesis is when our liver starts pushing sugar into our blood. So even if your diet's like perfect and you're not sleeping great at night, usually it's because there's too much stress, and so your cortisol levels aren't regulated. So there's an herb called ashwagandha, and ashwagandha is a phenomenal herb that it is in the nightshade family. So for those of you who have nightshade allergies, I'm going to little caveat here, but be careful with it. What could diabetics do in such scenarios? Well, with diabetes, it's so important that you're working out and you're exercising, because the goal is to use as little insulin as possible. And I'm assuming it's a type 1 diabetic condition. But the real goal is to make sure that you're exercising, and then your diet needs to be even closer. Like, you got to be very careful on what you eat. Obviously, you don't want your blood sugar dropping too low. That's so dangerous. And then you end up putting so much sugar into your body that it spikes up. But do you use a continuous glucose monitor? And I can see your face. You can give me a thumbs up too. Okay, you do. Okay, perfect. So you have a perfect ability to apply the science to your own life. So try using these resistant starches. Try using the apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and cranberry in water, because if you can take less insulin, your health in the long run will be so much greater. And then exercise is the real thing. So there's this interesting process inside of the cell. It's called GLUT4 transportation. Now, I don't know if your doctor's talked to you about this, but you can actually get sugar into your cell without the presence of insulin, even in type 1 diabetes. And the way that you do that is through exercise. And there's some very interesting peptides that can help you get that GLUT4 activation. One's called SLUPP. If you want to look into it, it's a newer molecule, but they're finding it does trigger that GLUT4 transportation. But those are your two biggest things. And the best organ system that you want to focus on, Kritika, is your muscle mass, because your muscle is that repository of glucose. It's a glucose disposal system. And so when you have more muscle mass, you get more GLUT4 activation. So hopefully that's helpful. And then as we jump into the protein section, this will be the real game changer. So, but honey can be really good for you. Instead of going, I know you like even having honey packs with you, because you have to have sugar with you. That can be so much better than, reaching for the candy bar or the candy that gives you that quick spike. But, with your CGM, just make sure that you're monitoring it. Try some of these things and let me know how it goes. Now, this is the question that I needed. Thank you. So, Valette said, how can we control our cravings? Just don't be human, and you don't have any cravings in life. All right, joking. So, how many of you get sugar cravings? One of my teachers used to call me cookie boy because my blood sugar, I wouldn't eat. I would forget to eat food. And then it would be like, we'd be in the clinic and it'd be like 5 p.m, and I would be starving. And so she'd bring a cookie and I would just like devour it. And then she'd bring another one, I'd devour it. And this was when I was doing my clinical rotations, and it was so funny. But now I realize, like, the reason I was craving sugar is because my body was starving for nutrients. So think of sugar cravings as an indication that you need nutrients. And I know there's some like psychological things with sugar cravings, and I'm no therapist, so I won't necessarily address that too much. But protein is your gateway for stabilizing your blood sugar. How many of you can plug in what proteins you eat, and then we can talk about structuring the right the appropriate grams of protein per day? You guys don't eat protein? Is it beef? Do you eat chicken? Do you eat turkey? These are examples of protein. So, okay, eggs. There we go. Beautiful. All of the above. Salmon, fish. Yes. Yes. 8 eggs in a day. Chicken, cottage cheese, eggs, fish. Awesome. Okay, great. Steak, soybean, eggs, cottage cheese, peanuts, fish, pork, yeah, tofu. Okay, so these are all really important protein sources. So one of the things I did is, because I do work with vegan clients occasionally, and I wanted to see, okay, what are the quantities of protein you need if you're vegan? So if you happen to be vegan, then this is going to be a really important key to this, because you're going to need to increase your quantity almost by a factor of 2 to get the right proteins, because it's harder for us to get the complete amino acid structure from plants than it is from meats. And so, but generally speaking, if you take your weight, do you guys do pounds or kilograms? How many of you do pounds, kilograms? Okay, so okay, most okay, most of you are doing kilograms. So unfortunately, Reagan lives in the United States and we do pounds. I think we just kind of departed from that whole thing. Yeah, so you can multiply by 2.2. So essentially, if you're really looking to build lean muscle mass, what you want to do is, and for those of you who do pounds, one gram of protein per pound of body weight. So essentially, you're going to need 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight in two grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And this is going to be your ideal body weight. So if you're looking to lose, well, I'll just throw out a number for ease. If you're looking to lose 20 pounds or roughly 10 kilos, let's say you want to lose 10 kilos and you weigh 100 kilos, then what you want to be aiming for is, closer to like that 100 kilos in protein, a little less. You could go like 95 kilos in protein. And the interesting thing about this is okay, so just use pounds, because if you think of 1 pound of meat, which is 16 ounces, is ounces easier for you guys than pounds? Probably. So you do 16 ounces of protein is 100 grams of protein roughly. Did everyone get that equation? Now, I know you guys asked me for sugar cravings, and now I'm giving you math equations. Where are we going with this conversation anyway? So, because this is the key, because you can treat the symptom of sugar cravings and like just use willpower, but willpower wears it. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but if there's something sweet around, it's so hard to navigate. Yeah, yes, there we go. So, kilograms, 2.2. You just 1 kilogram is times it by 2.2. There's your pounds. But at roughly 16 ounces of meat, it gives you about, if you're 200 pounds, that's 50% of your protein intake. And so when you're planning on this, it requires an enormous, if you really want the physique that you never dreamed you could achieve, this is the single pathway of getting there. If you exercise and you eat the protein, you'll get the six pack. Your blood sugar will be more stable. You'll notice the food cravings go away. Your mental energy will increase. The brain fog goes away. You won't have those afternoon drops. So you guys ever felt that where in the afternoon you're just like, you've got a couple hours where you're just not nearly as productive as you are in the morning. And that's a blood sugar issue. It's an energy crisis because your body doesn't have the right proteins. And so how do you do this? And let's make it very simple so that anybody can do it. So what you want to do is every day you want to plan in advance. The worst time to think about nutrition and food is when you're hungry. It's like the worst time to go grocery shopping. How many of you spend like 20% more grocery shopping when you're hungry? Right? You just buy everything. I mean, my wife sometimes when I go grocery shopping, she's like, "What did you purchase? These are so weird." But usually I bring home like livers and organ meats and stuff. But don't go shopping when you're hungry. But likewise, the worst time to think about food is when you are hungry or you have a craving. So here's how we can get ahead of the problem, and that's where you want to do food prep. And so just like you're cooking your rice, your sweet potatoes, your yams, you've got your food that you're getting ready, but you can do the same thing with your protein. And this protein is where you want to roughly take 16 ounces, and that gives you let's say half of your protein consumption if you're 100 kilos. But roughly we'll just take 16 ounces, and you're going to want to break that up into a couple containers. So first thing in the morning, you want to be consuming about 30 to 40 grams of protein. And then you want to make sure that you're getting about 40 to 50 grams at lunch. But the reason why, and women versus men, females, you want to eat more protein within 30 minutes upon waking. It's so critical. And it doesn't need to be like a big meal. Even if it's like 10 grams of protein, you're going to be doing really good. And then eggs, one egg is roughly 6 to 7 grams of protein. And so you're going to need to eat like 6 eggs to get up to that like 50 grams of protein, which is fine. I mean, you can do that. That's most of my days. I'll do about 4 eggs, and then I do about maybe a pound and a half of some kind of meat. Usually I do beef. I do bison, I do elk. I had an elk steak last night that was phenomenal. And then Somya asked, what if we exercise more on the day of a cheat meal? Well, and I guess you just define a cheat meal would be where you're just like, maybe overeating. I'll just call that a cheat meal, or maybe plug in what you mean by a cheat meal. But exercise is your great, that's where you can get a little bit of leeway, but you're not going to get the definition. I mean, it just depends on what your goals are. If your goals are, I want to have a phenomenal physique, I want to be athletic, I want to see my six pack again, I want to get muscle definition, then exercise is definitely going to get you there. But you've got to add in these macros. And if you have a cheat meal here and there, that's great. It's good for you. And then you want to have one day a week where you do more of a caloric restriction, and where you do protein fasting. But if you're doing protein, if you're doing the higher quantities, the biggest risk that you have is not breaking down the proteins in your gut, and you end up with digestive issues. And so this is where taking enzymes is really important, or drinking that apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, cranberry drink is actually, it will help you break down these proteins. So proteins, really, really important. And Shelly, you asked, are protein bars healthy for eating when we feel low on energy? Well, let's see. Peter Attia actually created these bars called David bars, and they're whey protein, and they're okay. But generally speaking, anything in a package, the more that you can eat like real food, the better. And a lot of these proteins have fillers in it. There's a lot of sugar in there, and they have just weird ingredients. And so, but I like some of them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will eat a protein bar if I'm hungry, and I'm like, well, I had a flight delayed, or I had, I just did not have time to go to the kitchen and warm something up. Absolutely. And so, yeah, packaged foods are never good. They're well, there's some that are better than others for sure. It's better than starving, is what I found. so so don't let your blood sugar drop too low. So I don't like hard rules around nutrition because but yeah, ideally if you can avoid the packaged foods, but avoiding packaged foods requires a lot of preparation. And I know you guys are so busy. You guys are doing phenomenal work there, and so it's sometimes you're going to have to lean in, and there may be some packaged foods, but. Okay, so does everyone understand protein? Does everyone have a pretty good concept of protein? So whether you eat fish, you eat chicken, you eat lamb or elk or beef, just think roughly one gram of protein per pound of body weight, or 2 grams per kilo. We'll just say 2 grams per kilo, and then essentially 1 pound or 16 ounces is 100 grams. And I can tell you, if you guys just do this for a couple of days and start counting how many grams of protein you eat in a day. Does anyone count their protein macros right now? Does anyone know approximately? It looks like a few of you do. Amit, do you have any simple equations to getting the protein you want?
I do about 130 and 40 a day. Main sources being whey protein, then eggs, chickens, oats, peanut butter, etc. So yeah, these are the sources which I measure.
That's great. Awesome. Well, and you bring up oats, and I didn't mention oats in the carbohydrates, but oats can be really good. And same if you do the overnight oats. I don't know if you've tried that, but overnight oats are phenomenal. Okay, is it more effective to follow a full body workout routine at the gym, or should I focus on a split routine, specific days for upper body, legs, and arms, like triceps and biceps? Which workout routine is generally recommended for better results? This is a great question, and it's really insightful because it all depends. And here's the answer is where, yes, I agree, Louise. It depends on your goals, but it also depends on the time that you have, because doing a whole body workout, if you only want to work out 3 days a week, then I would make it more of a full body exercise. I like working out every day. And then I can actually be a lot more targeted in my lower body versus upper body, for example. And you can do push pull days; those are really important. And so I guess it would depend if you like to work out every day because it wakes me up. I just have a policy. I made this policy about 10 years ago. I said I don't have days off. I just work out, and I'm not going to be doing the same workout every day. I'm a big believer in recovery. But it's just easier to get in the habit and routine. How many of you like a routine? The human brain makes habits because it's a shortcut. It conserves energy. And so if you can just make exercise a habit, then it's great. And so then you would want to have a split routine. And if you're really looking to build muscles out, like if you're interested in like bodybuilding or body composition, you're going to be better off if you have these split workouts where you have a leg day and then you have an upper body day. And then one of the things that I found too is if you can incorporate yoga or Pilates into your training, it's so good to lengthen and strengthen your muscles. And Javed said if you're going heavy enough, your body strength with 3 times full body. Tell me what you mean. You can lift 3 times.
Yeah, if you're doing full body 3 times a week, but you're doing like squats 3 days a week, and you're going heavy, by the 3rd day, your body's going to be drained. It's going to say, "Look, I need a break." So I tend to push pull legs splits.
That's great. So how many days do you do legs?
Twice, but I do different leg routines twice a week.
Yeah, that's same here. And Javed, if you guys haven't met him in person, he's got some muscle on him. So he's incredible. I can vouch for him.
Thank you.
How's things feeling? Your pain gone yet?
Yep. My triceps returning. So back to my 275 press.
Jeez, well done.
Yeah,
that's awesome. We're going to have a bench press competition in about 10 minutes here, and so Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Yeah. So if you look at the workouts, I mean, Javed brings up a good point. Like, it's just how quickly you can recover, and then what are your goals? Yes. So chest, back, Luis, chest, back, legs, arms, circuit, rest, repeat. Yeah, and Mike Mentzer's protocol is beastly, Soren. That's awesome. He's, if you guys look him up, like he's gorgeous. Like, I think muscles are really, like, it's amazing when you look at the human physique. Like, it's just there's some art to it, and he's definitely an artist. Okay, yes. What should we eat to reduce bloating? Well, this is like, what's the cause of bloating would be the first thing, and I would try that. A little bit of apple cider vinegar can help break down proteins, but a lot of times with bloating, we can end up getting some, infections in our gut, and so that can trigger some of the bloating. But and I would look for the foods that cause it, because usually it's going to be like those starchy carbohydrates, like the pastas, the breads, like things that are really heavy. Those can do it. Alternative for apple cider vinegar, betaine hydrochloride is probably the best thing. You can take these little capsules of betaine hydrochloride, and actually beets are really good for you too, because it does have betaine in it. So eating like the beet roots, and then the beet greens, if you're looking for some of the most nutrient dense leafy greens, you can eat beet greens, and they're loaded with potassium. So really good if you're an endurance athlete. Awesome. So fats, what are the best kinds of fats? Just as we kind of wrap up here, some of the fats that we look at, yes, avocados, nuts, almonds, olive oil, beef tallow. There you go. Yeah, especially I think you bring up a good point, Luis. Is beef tallow is being replaced in a lot of restaurants now who have gotten rid of seed oils. And if you guys haven't heard about seed oils yet, I've got a great podcast that I did with Shannon Callahan. She actually was Kobe Bryant's nutritionist, and she's a phenomenal doctor. But she wrote a book called Dark Calories, and it's so revealing on how damaging seed oils are. So when we cook you're like, what are seed oils? But when you cook your vegetables in like vegetable oil, or cook anything in vegetable oil, these are seed oils. If you see something that says cottonseed oil, rapeseed oil, these are really dangerous to cook food in. Corn oil, soybean oil, you want to avoid all of those kind of these the best oil to cook in is like tallow or lard, kind of the old school way of cooking. Butter works, and then you can use some avocado oil or coconut oil, but you don't want to heat it up too high with those types of oils, because what happens is we get a lot of oxidative damage to our cardiovascular system. So yeah, these avocados, yogurt have some good sources of fat. Eggs do. Certain kinds of milks. Ghee is a really good source of fat. It's a clarified butter, so you're removing some of the proteins that can be, some of us react to the casein or the whey, and it's really sweet. And if someone has really low iron or hemoglobin, then it's really good to get red meat in. And yes, people with low iron do often eat ice or chalk. So, so if you see your friend eating a piece of ice, just give him a big steak. Give him some liver. Liver is actually your best way to work on that. But in all reality, like if you have low iron or low hemoglobin, then you want to look at the stomach acids. And because a lot of times you can have a parasite, or it's a bacterial infection called H. pylori in your stomach, and H. pylori can cause acid reflux. You could have a parasite in your gut that's eating all the iron. You can have an autoimmune disease. So there's a lot of things you want to look at when it comes to iron. And so I don't want to be dismissive, but generally speaking, you do need more red meat and more B vitamins. And so if even if you can get some like B12 injections, that can help in a lot of cases. But just look for the cause. And one thing you can do just as a pilot test is oil of oregano. And that is antimicrobial and that can kill off a lot of things. So I would do a cycle of oil of oregano for like 30 days. If you get bloating or if you have like anemic tendencies, if someone's vegetarian, then it's really challenging because you do need a supplement with methylated B vitamins. You need, make sure you have proper folate because it's really hard to get it from a plant source. But if you are vegan, the blue-green algae has really good protein concentrations and great B vitamins in there. So that's the one thing I would look deep into, and that's what I have all my vegan clients do. Multivitamin tablets, do they help? It depends. I mean, it depends on the source because a lot of multivitamins, when we tested them, they have mostly binders and they have very low nutrient profiles. And so my ideal is for you to actually figure out what nutrients you're depleted in. So here's one way you can look and see if you're zinc depleted is look at your fingernails. And if your fingernails are painted, this obviously won't work, but look at your fingernails and see if there's little spots on them. And if you have little spots, then there's a good chance you have a B vitamin deficiency and a zinc deficiency. And so I would start there. I would look at your tongue. And then if your tongue is really pale, then B vitamin deficiency for sure. If your tongue's a little swollen, then you need more vitamin D. So yes, the seed oils, most of them are crude oil derivatives. I mean, they're basically waste from processing foods. Okay, how can I get more vitamin D without too much sun? So yeah, you put a great thing in there. Thank you, Mike. Mike, answer the question for me. You're awesome, Mike, wherever you are. Yeah, because you want to be careful with fortified foods. This is the only caveat on the vitamin D. But yeah, if you look at the fortified foods, a lot of these nutrients that the foods are fortified with are really hard for your body to break down, and they're more like chemical based nutrients. And so same with your supplements. They are expensive, but guess what's more expensive is if you're taking a supplement that actually is doing more harm than good. And so this is where I'm a big fan of getting supplements that are made from whole foods. So read the back of the label and see where the supplement actually look at the food that it's made from. So important for you. And having good brands, because we've tested these supplements and it's not uncommon to have these supplements, what they show on the bottle, it's like inaccurate. And most of them, there's only 10 or 20% of supplement companies that actually have accuracy in their label. So just don't go and buy something at save your money there. Get it from food, ideally. So how's mustard oil to cook? Actually, I don't know, Abraham. That's interesting. Mustard oil. I don't think it would be awesome because it probably comes from the mustard seeds. And so, but I'd have to look that up. What is the best time to eat to start off a day with? And what is the last thing we should eat promoting healthy eating? Okay, so the best thing to eat to start your day off with is like some fruit and protein. And if you eat yogurt, you could eat like some fruit and yogurt. That can be a good thing. Men, we need to have a longer fasted window than women. And so I think the big thing with dudes is hold off on your eating in the morning. Just eat a little, if you need a little something before your workout or whatever, that's fine. But men, you want to fast for about 14 hours a day. Women, you don't want to go more than about 12 hours a day, generally speaking, especially if you're on your period. Give yourself some grace and get protein in the morning. It's so important. Even if you're not hungry, women especially, I see your thyroid levels come down. And if you're trying to lose weight, the worst thing you can do is just get up and not eat and skip meals. And women, because nature designed your body a little different, you've got to have energy preservation. And so when you fast, your body's in this deficit, and it puts your body in a stress mode, and you'll actually gain more weight. And to preserve nutrients, because you got to raise babies. I mean, I'm not saying you have to have babies by any means, but I do like babies. Okay, so what is the best thing to eat within the day? So eat some protein, about 30 grams within. Ideally, if you can eat 10 to 15 grams of protein or something within 30 minutes of waking up, women, that's so good for your stress levels and your hormones. And then you want to make sure that you're getting about 30 to 40 grams for breakfast, 40 to 50 for lunch, and then 50 for dinner, or whatever deficit you've got there. And then just think fruit, eat fruit for snacks. You're going to love it. And well, thank you, Luis. I like this speaker a lot. My favorite. Well, you're my favorite then, Luis. You're my favorite. Thanks. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Cold pressed oils are the best. Absolutely. How long before bed is the best time to stop eating? So I think we need to finish in about 3 minutes. And so I'll answer this question and then I'll let you guys get back to work. But you want to follow the 3-2-1 method before you go to sleep. So write this down. This is probably the most important thing I'll say all morning, all day. 3 hours before you go to bed, stop eating food. And yes, if you have blood sugar issues, this does not apply. You can do a little honey, do some things, but eat your biggest meal 3 hours before you go to bed. 2 hours before you go to bed, stop drinking fluids because you don't want to wake up to urinate at night because you drank too much water. And then 1 hour before you go to bed, turn off your blue lights, get rid of your computers, your phones, just read a book, meditate, make love, do the things that are more grounding at night. Go for a walk and go for a walk after dinner every night. Just make that part of your habit. And that will help you avoid sugar cravings. You'll sleep better. When you sleep better, your blood sugar is more regulated. You're a better human. We enjoy life more. And so, yeah, so that's how you can avoid the cravings. Yes.
Thank you so much, Reagan. Anna this side. And guys, that was such an awesome session. Can we all please just give some love to Reagan? Let's use our...
Thanks. I apologize for the technical difficulties this morning.
No, it was such an amazing session, Reagan, and we really appreciate you and thank you for coming and taking this session over with us. And Sunny, before we wrap up, with the final few words from your end.
Yeah, no, I truly appreciate you, my friend. So Reagan is my brother from another mother. So we have a collaboration, and now in our new building in New Jersey, Reagan is opening his practice here in the ground floor. Reagan, welcome to New Jersey.
Thank you. To get back there.
Yes, every single member here, IT by Design's team members, will have a lot more connection and collaboration with Reagan. And I was so amazed with the energy in the room, Reagan. I'm like, our team members, they want you to stay here for another 2 hours.
Oh, good. Had to make up for my tech difficulty. Great.
Yeah, Reagan will be here for our Build It as well in New Jersey for your practice here. And then he will be for 3 days doing Live by Design for our customers. And this is what's called true collaboration. Thank you so much, Reagan.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Reagan. And thank you so much for joining the session today, guys. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and do not forget to live life by design and
not by default.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next Friday.